What's going on, everybody? I want to talk a little bit about Palantir before I go eat my shakshuka. My girl is making me shakshuka for Father's Day. The funniest thing is, I left this coffee out here the entire day as I took my kids to the park. And since this is my Father's Day present, I have a little warmer. You see that little button over here? This little button means that my coffee mug is better than your coffee mug. And that means my kids love me. I almost burnt my tongue because it's still piping freaking hot. Let's talk a little bit about Palantir, shall we? People complaining, people bitching. Palantir is overvalued at $16.60 or so. Palantir is overvalued at $17. Man, shut the fuck up. Palantir ain't overvalued. Palantir is valued just about right. Of course, not financial advice, purely 100% entertainment based. Now, I cannot stress this enough. Palantir starts small and then they expand. If I were to tell you that healthcare is Palantir's third largest vertical, would you believe me? Would you even understand what I'm saying? That means that it's the third largest thing bringing in money to Palantir. It's also the third largest thing that's growing for Palantir. Third largest vertical. Shyam Sankar said this once. He said this around 3 or 4 months ago at the top of my head. And people didn't really understand what that meant. And then they come out with all of these partnerships with Tampa Hospital, Cleveland Clinic. As we know, they work with the NIH, the CDC, the NHS, so on and so forth. Both, domestically, abroad, privately, with the government, and anything in between, hybrid, supply chain, so on and so forth for medical. Medical accounts for 10% of all of Palantir's U.S. revenue. 10%. That is freaking huge. If I'm not mistaken, Dr. Alex Karp said that 13% of all beds, hospital beds in the United States, are being run by Palantir Foundry for hospitals. I can't stress this enough again. I keep showing you guys, when I started covering Palantir back in May of 21, Palantir had around 20 different industries that they touched and sub-industries. If you go on their website now, they have like 50 different industries. So a lot of people laugh. What do you mean Palantir for automotive? What do you mean Palantir for insurance? What do you mean Palantir for cryptocurrency, so on and so forth? Well, that's exactly what I mean. They make a product for a specific industry, maybe even before the industry knows that they need it. And some industries actually adopt it and some industries don't. But some industries, like the healthcare sector, is absolutely a slam freaking dunk when it comes to Palantir. I want to read you this article that came out by CNBC. The article reads, how Palantir is helping hospitals with tasks that used to require spreadsheets and whiteboards. The spreadsheets and whiteboards is making light of the analog way that data was all being processed. Mind you, this is a huge push for this massive $500 million NHS contract, and past that, I'm sure they're going to be having a very similar contract in Ukraine that they're trying to get with the NHS right now. And this is all geared towards showing everybody how good Palantir is, how much lives Palantir saves, how much Palantir reduces wait times, and how much Palantir making you more efficient by making you less inefficient. Some key points. Palantir for hospital operations accounts for 10% of the entire software company's revenue in the US. 10%, guys. That's absolutely freaking massive, massive. The Cleveland Clinic, an early trial partner, explains how the platform helped it anticipate and manage a surge of emergency room patients. At Tampa General, the software has become popular among nurses leaders for its ability to predict and track patient inflows and outflows. If you guys remember, I showed you guys this in the AIP con. Basically, everything's on one page. Patients coming in, patients coming out, staff on hand, and what the patient is there for. Therefore, eliminating any inefficiencies and making sure that the beds, as they become available, there's an inflow of patients coming in. Therefore, reducing wait times and making you as efficient as possible. Earlier this spring, the emergency department at the Cleveland Clinic told Dr. Rita Pappas it had a problem. The Cleveland Clinic is the largest hospital system in Ohio, but after an influx of patients came in, the emergency department did not believe it could accommodate all the people who would need care, right? So the hospital is saying, we're freaking huge, but we didn't think we can accommodate all of our patients. The The Cleveland Clinic's medical director for the Admission and Transfer Center disagreed. That's Pappas. The Cleveland Clinic was in the midst of trying a new AI-powered software from Palantir. Guys, this is going to be absolutely remarkable. This is the first time that I'm reading this article. You know I love to give you, my raw reactions. Just never hit it raw. Make sure you always use protection. The system was predicting that there would be a large number of discharges that day, meaning there would be enough space for all the incoming patients. Pappas and her team convinced the emergency department to give Palantir's platform a chance, and to her relief, the new system worked. So the Cleveland Clinic said that there was a problem and we can't accommodate all of the influx of patients. Pappas says, I disagree. The reason you will be able to is use Palantir. And I quote, it was perfect. We were able to accommodate all the patients, and so everyone was cheering. We were so happy. Everyone got really excited, and I was very excited because I do not want to have the emergency department yelling at me. Ordinarily, Pappas said that managing patients' inflow in a similar scenario would require constant communications every hour throughout the night. But by accurately predicting patients' discharge, Palantir system saved Pappas and her team, the emergency department, a lot of time and effort. Furthermore, Palantir partnered with two healthcare systems, the Cleveland Clinic and the Tampa General Hospital of Florida, during the summer of 2021 to develop a software called Palantir for hospital operations. And now, just 2 years later, the company says the hospital operations platform accounts for 10% of its commercial revenue in the US. That's freaking crazy. Guys, let's just think about that. 10% of US revenue, we're talking about tens of millions of dollars of revenue within 2 years was produced. Do you understand the value of Palantir? Do you understand why our, Palantir community is so hyped on Palantir? We start small and then we expand. We started with a £1 contract with the NHS, and now we're vying for a $500 million contract. And we already made $100 million of contracts with the NHS. Think about that. Think about it. We start small and then we expand. This is a quote from Dr. Alex Karp and Shyam Sankar. I am so excited that we're at 13% of the beds in the US. 13% of all the beds of hospitals in the US is from Palantir. But like 90% of the work is in front of us here. So he's saying that 13% of the beds are us, but we still have 90% of the work in front, which means that we're trying to get to 100% of the beds. But let's say they can't get to 100% of the beds. And let's say that their programs, let's say Palantir for hospital operations, it's so good that they could increase this 2 or 3 or 4x. We're talking about a multiple of, and probably an additional $100+ million in US revenue alone. That's just the US. I think they really want this NHS contract to show hospitals abroad that Palantir for hospital operations is the shit. It actually works. We save lives, we save time, and you should integrate us, again, not data analytics, but data integration into your systems. That's what I think the major plan is. And that's why when people are like, oh, Palantir is overvalued. Palantir grew so fast, so strong. That's only what you know on the surface. Did you know that 10% of our revenue comes from hospitals? Did you know that 13% of US beds are powered by Palantir Hospital in less than 2 years? Think about that. In less than freaking 2 years. Let's go to the next part of the article. A race against time. Palantir specializes in data analytics, and the share of the companies are up around 150% so far as this year, as the bullish AI investors are buying into the tech offerings. The company reported its first quarterly net profit for Q4 of 2022. And Alex Karp made a letter. He says, and I quote, each quarter through the end of the year, and the demand for its new artificial intelligence platform is without precedent, which means we're going to have GAAP profitability for the rest of the year. We already had 2, we need 2 more, and then we will probably be initiated into the S&P 500, which means when somebody buys an ETF that tracks the S&P, Palantir is going to go up. When Tesla was introduced to the S&P 500, I think it went up with 30 or 40%. So we still have so much more room to grow. But this is the most interesting thing. He says that the artificial intelligence platform, which is ChatGPT on steroids, specifically for business and for government, is without precedent. He says that in 1 month, they got more want they got more requests than they have for a year of their other products. And remember, if you want to use Palantir AIP, you already have to have Palantir Foundry. Think about that. This company is perhaps known for its work with the U.S. government's defense and intelligence agencies, but despite its high-profile customers in the government, Sanker said Palantir works to tackle hard challenges across a variety of industries, including healthcare, a field that experts widely believe is in crisis. And now they're going to give you some really cool statistics. Nurses and physicians are experiencing higher level of burnouts. The staffing shortages across the country have made it difficult for hospital systems to keep up with patients' demand. These challenges were magnified by the COVID pandemic, as nearly 63% of physicians reported symptoms of burnout in 2021, up from 38% the year earlier. And I quote, "If you don't build it in the workflow of users, it actually doesn't get used. It just sits on the shelf," says Dr. Peggy Duggan, Executive Vice President and Chief Medical Officer of Tampa General, told CNBC interviewers. She's basically saying you need to integrate Palantir Foundry, and then it's going to be used. Unlike many other softwares that are just analytical tools. There's a huge difference. Dr. Alex Karp said it right himself 5 years ago. I put up that interview. If you guys missed it, just click on the link up above. Maybe it's going to be right here. I don't know how my screen is going to be flipped. Dr. Alex Karp 5 years ago said, "See us in 5 years. Catch me outside in 5 years, homie." He says the difference between us and Microsoft and all our other competitors is they do data analytics while we do data integration. As of March, the summer of 2021, a team of 4 Palantir employees set out to create a meaningful solution that healthcare workers at the Cleveland Clinic and Tampa General could actually use. It was a daunting challenge, and there was an additional catch, and I quote, "They were only given a matter of weeks to build something worthwhile." Why do you think Palantir, actually, I'll get to that after. Let me finish reading this article, and then I want to give you a statement. Drew Goldstein and Jeremy David led Palantir's team of 4, and they now run its fast-growing U.S. commercial healthcare team. The pair said they were given around 12 weeks to build a solution for Tampa General, and their work in Florida was already underway when the Cleveland Clinic Chief Information Officer called to give them an even shorter timeline of 8 weeks. 8 weeks and 12 weeks for 2 of the largest healthcare institutions in the freaking world. And I quote, "For better or worse, I'm quite hopeful and optimistic," David said in an interview with CNBC. "I was like, 8 weeks, we can get something live in 3. Okay? They said it was overwhelming and it was exciting. And I quote, "It was so foundational in our understanding of what these problems could look like," Goldstein told CNBC in an interview. When their work was done in Florida and Ohio, Palantir's team had what amounted to an early iteration of Palantir for hospital operations, said David. It was a product of several 100-hour weeks where he and Goldstein, who have become good friends, often lived in adjoining hotel rooms. And I quote, "Drew didn't like that," David said. "I'd knock on the door, 'Good morning, sunshine.' If you treat the nurses and patients like widgets, you're going to lose," said David. "For about 2 weeks, we tried to treat them like widgets and we lost. And then everything changed." I'm going to keep going, but I just wanted to say something. An entire overhaul in the way hospital operations is being done was requested by 4 people using Palantir, or 4 people in Palantir. They gave them a deadline of 12 weeks and 8 weeks. They said we could have done it in 3 weeks, and they ended up getting it done, and they hit a freaking home run. AIP came out instantaneously, while others are still talking about what they could build, like Databricks. His CEO was saying, "Hey, we could build some platform for our customers." It's not a knock on them. And Snowflake just acquired an AI company to make large language models. Palantir came up with AIP, literally split. I'm talking about like in a month, okay? A viable product. And not a minimal viable product, like an actual working product that's only going to get better. And then they made AIPCon. I remember the haters in my comments said they shouldn't do it. It's not going to be good. It's going to be like Google Bard when it came out, that, you know, it's not going to be able to pass with flying colors. They gave you concrete evidence of it working, showing how it works right in front of you, and giving demonstrations of actual companies that use AIP. Why? Why was AIP a success like this and worked so fast on top of being able to build an entire product for hospitals in a matter of several weeks? Why? Because Palantir has the goods. I know. The guy from Bear Cave is going to be so mad calling Palantir an imposter. But in reality, they're not an imposter. He's an imposter of an analyst. Probably a dork. Most definitely a dork. Palantir is a very powerful company that has unbelievable artificial intelligence technology. And not like today where everybody's like AI, just for the sake of saying AI to, make sure your price of your shares go up. C3 AI. Palantir actually is an artificial intelligence company. And the proof is in the pudding. The fact that they can come up with these platforms liquidly split means that they already had the technology. They already had the footing foundations. They already had the backbone, the guts to do that. They just adapt, tweak, shift, and pivot. And that's the proof that they come out with these products in a matter of a few weeks when others are just talking about what they can build you in years. That's what Dr. Alex Karp says when we are 5 years ahead. He says most software today is built and barely works today. You think it's going to work in 5 years from now? And Palantir works on programs and software that works 5 years from now in advance. All the time working today, tomorrow, after tomorrow, so on and so forth. So by the time somebody actually comes out with a product in 5 years, Palantir already is coming up with 5-10 products ahead. That's a huge difference, guys. A new tool for hospital staff. They love it. And then they just keep going down and down and down. Let me just give you some statistics. Since the official launch of Palantir software on March 1st, the Cleveland Clinic main campus has been able to accept an 8% increase in patient transfers from other hospitals. And I quote from Pappas, "The system is actually learning and taking information, and it's very accurate," she said. "It serves as a command center so that we can very clearly know how many patients we are caring for every single day." And I quote again, "They've developed a trust in the system," Pappas said. "People in healthcare are kind of conservative. They don't like change. And so the fact that they trust it and are using it now really just says to us that it's a successful venture for us." Guys, I'm not going to read the article anymore. You guys can check it out yourself. But all I'm saying is Palantir has the goods. They don't just talk the talk. They're not about that bullshit. They walk the walk. Catch me outside, if you know what I mean. Palantir is giving everybody the 1-2 jab. And they're just giving you guys the uppercut because they're absolutely knocking it out of the freaking park. At the end of the day, cry now, laugh later, or laugh now and cry later. Palantir community was crying all the way down, but they're kind of laughing now, and we got such a long way to go. Guys, this is really reminding me of a Tesla and NVIDIA moment. Everybody laughed, and then when they went up a little bit, everybody's like, I said, it can't go up anymore. Guys, 1 trillion is on the horizon. I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm not saying after tomorrow, but I can definitely see we get there. We just need to grow into our shoes and this barrier of are we overvalued, undervalued, or on par valued? So far, only Bank of America gets us as analysts. I do foresee more analysts upgrading us, and if we can just beat earnings and get to just 20% growth. Sorry about that. And we can get to just 20% growth, I think Palantir is going to be just fine. Remember this. Palantir got the goods. They're not just bullshitting you. They actually make products. They actually make software that actually works and actually saves lives. And they build them super, super fast. The revenue will grow. It will multiply. You ever seen a snowball, right, on top of a mountain that just do, and that snowball becomes like a freaking boulder-sized snowball? Well, that's kind of what Palantir is doing right now and will continue to do in the future. Palantir for the win. Thank you so much. If you guys want to buy me my next coffee, I do have a link to my channel membership down below. It's $3 a month. YouTube takes $1 from me. They absolutely robbed me, but I'm left with $2, which is really, really good because I could buy myself 1 coffee for those $2. I'll see you guys later. If you guys don't want to support me with the channel membership, quite all right. All jokes aside, please, please, please follow me on Twitter. I'm going to leave a link to my Twitter down below. I'm also going to leave a link to Keith's Twitter down below, and Jesse's. Definitely follow Jesse as well for options plays. Thank you. Have a great day.